I am Geoffrey in the third episode of my Lakhmid campaign. We are still in the very busy year of 396 AD. We have captured Yathrib from the Arabian separatists, and we have now united all of Arabia Magna. All is not well, however. You may remember that an enemy army was marching to Hirah, an army of the Arabian kingdom of Himyar that had declared war on us. War Attila, our inspector, failed to delay them, but has at least spied on them. They lay siege upon Hirah. Our functionary Al-Mundir has already hired many mercenaries, all he could find, and gathered all the men of Hirah who could fight. A rebellion once again breaks out in the land of the Ghassanids, as the Ghassanid rebels begin to raid the land around Tumata. Al-Mundir sallies out, bringing the battle to our enemy. A great sunstorm has hidden the sun and with it the army of our enemy, who are numerically superior to us, so we have to hope that strategy and discipline will win the day. The first task is to find where our enemy is, and our general reasons they are probably down the road that leads to Hirah, and so our task is to find them before they can sweep around and march around us and take Hirah and leave us in the middle of the desert.
We have taken battle to them, and we will not die easily.
As Al-Mundir finishes his speech, his men cheer, and our army begins to prepare for battle. Our enemy is somewhere in this vastness, covered by the veil of the sandstorm. Our enemy has certainly not walked away. Perhaps they want to surprise us. The tension in our camp is thicker than the clouds of sand.
Easy now.
And as
Eyes front! No flinching!
a glimpse of sunlight lifts the veils of the sand, our enemy appears before us.
We'll have work aplenty soon! Look that way, bastards! Where are the foes worthy to meet me? Aim low! Aim low! Get them down! Ready to fire! Rah! Raid! Enemy fire!
Having pinned down the main body of their army, our cavalry moves to the flanks and encircles their infantry, at the same time chasing away the enemy cavalry. Here is our general's bodyguard chasing off some comers. And then he sweeps around and charges the enemy skirmishers who were running off as fast as they could. And here they are being cut down by our general's bodyguard, and more of our cavalry comes to his aid. Our lighter skirmishers are chasing off the camel riders of the enemy. Here's our general marching into battle, leading his men. And the enemy is now in disarray. Their skirmishers are broken and run off. Their infantry is finished. Their mounted skirmishers are the end of their tether. Victory. Victory is ours on this day. Glorious victory. We were outnumbered almost 3-2, but Al-Mundia, our faction heir, acquitted himself well. Practically the entire enemy army was destroyed, except for a handful of light troops. And in the meantime, our Numan, our king, is marching on Zafar, one of the cities of Himyar, to take revenge for their attack on Hirah. So he force marches his army. He is a season's distance from Zafar. He has the remnants of the enemy army, and Himyar wants now peace, but we reject their request. Having had to spend money on mercenaries at Hirah, we have emptied the coffers, and now our men are deserting our armies. They're also deserting our king's army. The White Hounds had made their appearance. Dumata is now raided again by Arabian rebels, Ghassanid rebels. There is a new building and equipment trade. Here is our king approaching Zafar.
My lord.
Once again, he marches through the desert sands of Arabia to lay siege on Zafar.
Laying siege to the settlement.
It is payback time. As our king commissions some siege engines, we can take a look at this wonderful dam that Himyar has built in the middle of the Arabian desert. And here's once again Zafar now under siege. And an unusual event, a lady that was a high lady of Mazun has chosen to marry one of her generals of our king. Zafar is under siege, so is Dumata. It is besieged by the Ghassanid rebels.
Kill them all!
And once our siege engines were ready, the attack on Zafar began. Zafar was defended by a small garrison. The main reason I did not auto-resolve, but I am fighting the siege, was to take a look at one more of those beautiful settlements of Attila, almost as beautiful as the settlements of Rome too. A somewhat darker kind of beauty, especially when a sandstorm is blowing. So as the battle is about to begin, let's fly over Zafar, the doomed city of Himyar, to have a look at the beautiful cityscape. Here are some beautiful gardens and a beautiful palace. But let us now return to the battle. Our men are approaching the enemy walls. Our siege towers are inching forward under the dim sky in the raging sandstorm. Our skirmishers forward. They are being fired at by flaming arrows fired from the enemy towers. Our towers have reached the enemy walls. Our men are now coming out. They are on the walls of Zafar. The defenders are in a kind of the pseudo formation. In the meantime, a unit of spearmen is trying to hack down the enemy gates with their swords and spears. It's a thankless task. They could have used incendiary bombs or something. It's not an easy thing to do. Here are again more men coming out of our siege towers onto the walls of Zafar under fire from the enemy, and our spearmen attack the enemy cavalry in melee. The enemy cavalry was gathered around the main gates of Zafar, and they are trapped. Our heavy macemen arrived to help out our spearmen. The spearmen, saying that they have been relieved, they decide to retreat as the morale is running low. And now it is up to our macemen to call down the cavalry. The gates are finally broken open. More spearmen pour in through the gates. Our cavalry is now heading this way. And there had been a fight in the gates. There are some bodies lying on the ground. Here's our camel riders. They go to help out our men. The gates close on them. There must have been men behind. Our camel riders push on the gates open again, and there must be some resistance behind because they seem to have trouble getting through. There seem to be some men behind the gates. And here's our king Numan. We're making progress. We're pushing into the city. Our cavalry is now fighting at the gates. There's flaming arrows and javelins being thrown about. It's a death field. Some enemy spearmen try to support their cavalry. They are heavily outnumbered. And our enemy is about to break. And yes, they're broken. We're pouring into the city. And here's the last enemy unit in good order. Here's their enemy governor with his bodyguard. And let's have a flyover over that beautiful palace, a bird's eye view over this gorgeous Persianate Saracenic style palace. And back to the enemy general's bodyguard. Here some of our men running around trying to find their way towards the enemy central plaza, their citadel, where the enemy governor is. His beautiful view of the outside quarters of the city. His cavalry, they are breaking through some barricades. Our men are moving in towards the enemy citadel. You can see the top of that long stairway the enemy general's bodyguard. Some skirmishers are moving that way to harass them. More men are pouring through those destroyed barricades. And some cavalry has run around the citadel, has entered from a back entrance, and they are now in the gardens of the enemy palace complex. The enemy governor and his bodyguard are now surrounded. There he is on the top of those stairs, staring down at our general, but our men are now behind him. They look glorious in their metallic masks under those statues of Persian kings. Why do they have statues of Persian kings in Arabia? Here are again the faceless bodyguard of our enemy general, and our mounted javeliners are throwing javelins at them.
Face me! Come fight me, you sons of bitches!
And here's our king, King Numan, behind a spear wall. There he is in the middle, standing proud on his beautiful stallion. He is encouraging his men. Here's again the enemy bodyguard, the bodyguard of the enemy general, the governor of Zafar, and their fate is sealed. They surrender, Zafar is ours. Zafar has been taken, its garrison is no more, their governor Walker Hill is slain, the city is occupied.
At your command.
Oh, Inspector Walker Hill has failed once again to misdirect an enemy army, and Himyar sue for peace, but we will deny them. Thank you for watching.